The prestigious auction house in the center of the city was filled with the scent of expensive perfume and the quiet rustle of silk. Men in $5,000 suits and women draped in diamonds sat in velvet chairs, waiting for the item of the century, the deed to the Evergreen Estate, a massive property that had been in the same family for 200 years. The starting bid was $10 million. But in the very back row, sitting on a folding chair he brought himself, was a man who looked like he'd just finished a shift at a coal mine. He wore a faded gray hoodie, grease-stained jeans, and boots that had seen better decades. He was holding a crumpled paper bag and a plastic water bottle. The security guards had tried to remove him 3 times, but he quietly showed them a battered registration paddle and refused to budge. The wealthy elite whispered and pointed, laughing into their champagne flutes about the homeless man who had wandered into the wrong room. The auctioneer, a man who prided himself on exclusivity, cleared his throat and looked at the back row with visible disdain. Moving on to the final lot, the Evergreen Estate. Do I have 10 million? A billionaire in the front row raised his hand instantly. The bidding climbed fast. 12 million, 15, 18. Then, a quiet, gravelly voice spoke from the shadows of the back row. 25 million. The room went dead silent. The billionaire turned around, his face red with anger. This is a joke. He's wasting our time. Arrest him. The auctioneer hammered his gavel. Sir, if you do not have the funds, this is a criminal offense. The man in the hoodie didn't flinch. He just reached into his crumpled paper bag, pulled out a worn-out thermos, took a sip, and said, I have the funds. Continue. The billionaire, determined to humiliate the stranger, pushed the bid to 30 million. The man in the hoodie didn't even blink. 50 million. The auctioneer's hand shook. 50 million going once, twice. Sold to the gentleman in the back. The room erupted in chaos. People were shouting, demanding proof. The billionaire stood up and screamed, Who do you think you are? You're a nobody. You're dirt. The man in the hoodie finally stood up. He pulled back his hood, revealing a face that looked remarkably ordinary, but eyes that were as sharp as flint. He didn't look at the billionaire. He looked at the auctioneer. My name is Elias Thorne. 30 years ago, my father was the gardener for this estate. He worked 20 hours a day to keep those gardens perfect. When he got sick, the owners of this house didn't give him a pension. They didn't even give him a ride to the hospital. They threw his belongings into the street and told him that the help should know their place. Elias walked toward the front of the room, the crowd parting like the Red Sea. My father died in a homeless shelter because the people who lived in this house. He told me before he passed that beauty belongs to those who nurture it, not those who buy it. I didn't spend the last 30 years building a logistics empire so I could buy a house. I built it so I could turn this estate into a free hospice and garden for the workers of this city. He turned to the billionaire, who was now pale and speechless. You see a man in a hoodie, and you see a nobody. But my father taught me that the person who cleans your floors knows more about your house than you ever will. You have the money, but you never had the heart. Elias handed over a certified check for $50 million and walked out the front doors. Back to the old truck he parked 3 blocks away. He didn't need the silk chairs or the champagne. He had the deed, and more importantly, he had kept the promise made to a gardener 3 decades ago. It's a powerful reminder that you should never judge a person by their cover, because the person you think is the least in the room might be the one who owns the building. True wealth isn't what you wear. It's the promises you keep and the lives you change when no one is looking. Comment promise if you believe in the power of the underdog.